I'm Sophie, a member of the Providence Children's Museum Junior Advisory Board. I'm excited to introduce you to Eileen Moskowitz-Palma. Eileen is a children's book author and former elementary school teacher. When she isn't writing, Eileen teaches beginner novel writing and writing for children and young adults at Sarah Lawrence College. She lives in Westchester, New York with her husband Douglas, their daughter Molly, and their wire fox terrier Oscar. I'm excited to introduce everyone to Eileen.
Hi, Sophie. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be here today to talk to you about my books and the writing camp program we're going to be doing through the Providence Children's Museum. This is my first middle grade book. It's called Camp Click. It came out in April, and it's about two former best friends, Bee and Maisie, who end up at the same summer camp together. So the first book came out in April, and the sequel called School Squad is coming out in October. So I'm really excited to be partnering up with the Children's Museum to do a writing camp program this summer. So it's going to be running for 4 weeks in July. We're going to be meeting once a week for an hour, and all the kids will be writing short stories about friendship. And then in August, we're going to be doing a book club meeting to talk about Camp Click. So thanks so much for having me today so that we can chat about the book a little bit.
Have you always wanted to write books for kids?
That's such a great question. I have always wanted to be a writer, and I always wanted to be a teacher for kids. So I was a teacher for many years for kids, and so when it was time for me to write a book, I felt so connected to kids and the problems that kids face and the things that they like to talk about that it made perfect sense for me to write for kids.
How did you come up with the idea for this book?
So that's another great question. I'm loving these. I'm a mom, so I have a daughter who is now a senior in high school. And I also have a lot of mom friends who have sons and daughters that are different ages. And one thing that I noticed, which I don't know if you've seen, Sophie, is that there are a lot of kids who fit in really well in one part of their life, but they struggle socially in another part. So you might have a kid who's the captain of their travel soccer team, but they don't have anyone to sit with at lunch at school. Or you might have somebody who fits in really well at school, but they're in a drama program and they don't know how to make new friends. And so a lot of my mom friends have kids who've experienced that, and my own daughter experienced it. And so I thought that that was something really important to write about because I think a lot of kids could relate to it. So that's how I got my starting point for the idea.
Okay. How did you come up with the characters?
Another good question. So I came up with Maisie first. So like I said, I wanted to write a story about a kid fitting into one place and not fitting into another. And so I decided that I would write about these two best friends who were best friends their whole lives until all of a sudden in 6th grade, one of the friends, Maisie, drops the other friend, Bee. And then they end up at sleepaway camp together. And Maisie, who fits in really well at school, doesn't fit in at camp. So I thought, what kind of kid would fit in at school but not at camp? And that's when I thought, maybe they should go to an adventure camp. And I thought of Maisie first, and I thought it'd be really fun to have a girl who's not adventurous, not athletic, and doesn't like to try new things end up at adventure camp. So I came up with her first. And then for Bee, I thought about what kind of kid might fit in at adventure camp but have a little trouble making new friends at school after a friend drops them. So I made Bee the kind of kid who's sporty and athletic, likes to try new things. And she's also the kind of kid that when she makes a best friend, she really sticks with them. So her bunkmates at camp are girls she's been friends with since first grade. So she's the kind of kid that once she's your friend, she really sticks with you. And that's why she's so upset that Maisie stopped being friends with her. So that's kind of how I came up with both of them.
I also like how you made Maisie drop B, not B drop Maisie, because Maisie is like you said, a little shorter,
Mm-hmm.
and B's a little taller. So I like how Maisie dropped B instead of B dropping Maisie.
Oh, I like that. So that was unexpected for you, because you would think that the one who looks a little sportier might be the one who would drop the other one.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you for that insight.
Thank you. I loved how each wait, no, not that one. Dr. Beth is a fun character. How did you come up with her?
Oh, so I had a lot of fun with Dr. Beth. So one of the things that we talk about in Camp Click is that Maisie is struggling with anxiety. That's one of the reasons she has trouble at adventure camp, because she gets anxious trying new things. Maisie also is struggling because her mother has a problem that she's dealing with at home, and Maisie's having trouble talking about it. And so the idea of going to therapy makes this anxious kid even more anxious. So I thought, what kind of therapist would get an anxious kid to feel comfortable to talk? And that's one of the reasons why Dr. Beth, if you read the book, you'll see she has a lot of, what does she have in her cabin?
Well, she has a lot of cats. I like how you said that, like, stray cats have a way of finding her. She's sort of quirky, you know?
Mm-hmm. And so the kind of person who can attract stray cats is the perfect person to get an anxious person to talk, because stray cats are kind of anxious. It's really hard to get them to come close to you and to stay with you. A lot of times stray cats will run over to you and then they get nervous and they run away and they might try again. And so I thought the kind of person that would make stray cats comfortable enough to stick around might be the same kind of therapist who would make an anxious kid keep stopping by the therapy cabin and getting more and more comfortable each time. What's the other quirky thing about Dr. Beth? So she's got all the cats. What is the other kind of funny thing about her?
Oh, I know. Well, one of them, I don't know if you're thinking this one, but I liked how she ate a lot of junk food at camp, and how she always ate like kale and salad at her house.
Yes. So I thought that was just kind of a funny thing about her, that would make, first of all, having the junk food around entices Maisie a little bit, right? She's always offering to share her fries or her burger or soda. So I thought that was cool, but also just kind of a funny thing about her that might make Maisie a little more comfortable than a more traditional kind of person. So that was a great question. Thanks, Sophie.
You're welcome. I loved how each character has both Maisie and Bee's perspectives. Was it hard to write from both of their viewpoints?
Actually, I love to write that way. And I think it's because in real life, in every situation, I'm always thinking about putting myself in the other person's shoes and trying to understand them. So as a mom, whenever my daughter comes to me for advice about a situation, maybe with a friend or a teacher, I always say to her, well, let's stop for a minute and think about how that person feels, or what they meant to say. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt your feelings. So I'm always sort of looking at a situation a little deeper and trying to wonder where the other person's coming from. So I think it's really important for kids to try to do that, because a lot of times if somebody hurts your feelings, they didn't always mean to, or if someone makes you upset, maybe they didn't intend to. And so I thought it was really important as an author for a kid's book to show both sides of the story, to get kids to practice sort of thinking about what it must be like for the other person. Because I think when we start to think about how someone else feels and their intentions, it can open up more understanding and we can have less arguments. And so I really enjoyed doing that. I really enjoyed showing both sides of the story and getting across how both girls felt, because there were a lot of situations where one person's feelings were hurt and the other person didn't intend to do it that way. So I really enjoyed it. I had fun doing that.
Do you have a favorite character?
I definitely don't have a favorite character. And I got asked that a lot because, as you know, I've done a lot of book club meetings, and they're almost like my kids. So I only have one kid, so I always tell her, of course, she's my favorite. But if I had more than one kid, I would not have a favorite, obviously. And so as a writer, I feel so attached to both of these girls that I truly don't have a favorite. I do have moments where one of them might make a choice that's a little cringy, especially in the second book. You're going to see when you get to the second book, things get a little cringy. And so there are moments where I say, oh, I can't believe she just did that, or I can't believe she just said that. But I always love both of my characters equally.
I also love how when Maisie said those mean things to B, that she practiced on the ropes course a lot.
Yes, so that even though she said mean things and expressed herself in a mean way, that she then went back and tried to make up for it. I like that you noticed that, because that was really important for me to show, because I think in real life we do that. Sometimes we say something that's not very nice, and sometimes you can't help it in the moment. Have you ever said something and then a few minutes later you regret it? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
And then you feel bad and you think, oh, should I apologize, or should I maybe do something nice to really show I'm sorry? And I wanted that moment. So I love that you picked up on that.
I also wanted to ask you another question that just popped up in my mind. Why did you make Maisie, whenever it was time to like call her dad or her mom or her sister, like for calling time, why did you make Maisie always go to Dr. Beth's cabin when that was happening?
That's a great question. Okay, so what do you think, Sophie? Should I give away the secret about what's wrong with Maisie's mom?
No.
Okay, so I'm not going to give away the secret. Good answer, because I didn't think I should either. So I thought I'd check in and see what you thought. So there's a reason why so here we have Maisie. There's a reason why this girl, who's very anxious and not athletic, ends up at the last minute at this camp. It's because something's going on at home, right? And something's going on with Maisie's mom, and because of the thing that's going on with Maisie's mom, Maisie gets stuck at this place and she doesn't want to be there. So one of the reasons she doesn't want to call home is because she's mad. She's mad at the problem that her mom had. She's mad at her mom for having the problem. She's mad that she got stuck at camp. And she's also experiencing a lot of complicated feelings. And so it's easier for her to go to Dr. Beth's cabin than to call home and deal with those complicated feelings. So that was such a good question. Every time she avoids the phone call, it's because she's just not ready yet. She's still too angry and sad and anxious and upset. So that was such a great question, Sophie.
Thank you. And also, I liked how you made Maisie a really good trickster. I like how you made that trick with the Camp Emilia ghost. That was a really good one. I liked how you did it.
Oh, thank you. I had fun with that. In real life, I don't do pranks ever. So I had a lot of fun imagining what it would be like if I was a good prankster.
Yes. I also, both Maisie and B are dealing with family issues on top of school and camp stuff. Why did you decide to add this to the story?
That's one of my favorite questions of yours, Sophie. I really love that question. It's because in real life, what do you think, Sophie? Do you think in real life kids just have one thing going on in their life that they're dealing with? Or do you think some kids have more than one thing happening?
Well, a lot of kids have more than one thing happening, but some kids only have one. So I would say maybe a 50-50%.
I like that. I think you're right. I think some kids, there's not really a lot of drama going on at home, and maybe they just have whatever's going on at school. And then I think there's other kids who are dealing with divorce. In B's case, because that part's not a secret, I can give that part away. B's parents are divorced, and what's going on with B's mom, Sophie? Do you want to tell everybody do you remember the new thing with B's mom?
B's mom, yes. B's mom is,
Did she meet someone special? Do you remember?
B's mom needed someone special to help her. Oh, B's mom is dating the math teacher.
Yes.
And he is very anxious about that.
Yes. So in B's case, B's mom is going to be dating the math teacher, and B's dad is, do you remember what's going on with B's dad?
B's dad is proposing to Monica and the twins. And I liked how you made the twins, like, I like how you put in the book how B thinks that the Monica just doesn't like cats, so she's pretending that the twins are allergic to cats. I like how you put that in there.
Thank you, because I wanted to kind of show that it can be complicated. So like in B's case, she's gotten over her parents' divorce, but now she has to deal with what happens when her mother is ready to date and her dad is ready to have a new family. And then, as we said, Maisie has a big family problem that you're going to find out at the end of the book. The reason I did that is because I think that some kids who have more than one thing going on feel like they're all alone, and they feel like nobody else has problems going on but them. And I think there are a lot of kids that have more than one problem going on at the same time. And it's nice to read about other kids who don't have everything perfect, right? I think it's good when you see not everyone has everything perfect, and you could have more than one problem at the same time. And sometimes when you have a problem going on at home, it makes it harder for you to be a good friend. Or if you're struggling in school, it might make it harder for you to be a good friend. And I just kind of wanted to show that because I want lots of kids to relate to this book and feel like there's a piece of their story in here somewhere.
Yes. How did you come up with Camp Emilia, and why is there a ghost at camp?
Okay, good questions. Okay, so as you said in my intro, I teach novel writing at Sarah Lawrence College. And one of the things I always tell my novel students is, just when you think you have enough drama, you need to add even more. Yeah. So I thought, okay, it's pretty dramatic to have two girls who are former best friends stuck at camp together. So already that's pretty dramatic, right? But then I thought, how can I shake it up even more? Well, what if one of the girls has never been to sleepaway camp before? That's pretty dramatic, even more. Then I thought, what if it's an adventure camp? And the girl who's never been to sleepaway camp is really bad at everything and scared of everything. And that's how I came up with Camp Emilia. Spoiler alert, in real life, I'm a lot like Maisie. I'm not sporty. I don't like to try new things. I'm not adventurous, and I get anxious about things. So I try to imagine if I got stuck going to camp, what would be my worst nightmare as that kind of a person? And so that's how I came up with Camp Emilia, because I thought, maybe if there's a sporting competition, and what if there's a ropes course? So I had fun with that. As far as the ghost goes, I've never been to camp, which a lot of the kids were really surprised about. I've never been to camp, so I checked in a lot with my daughter who's been to camp and my friends who have been to camp and their kids have been to camp, and they all said I needed some kind of a prank. And so that's how I came up with the ghost. I thought, should I do a funny prank? And then I thought, no, a scary prank would be really good. And so that's where the Camp Emilia ghost comes in, because I had fun coming up with a scary prank.
Okay. What? I also liked how you made like B think that her, like how you made B anxious about home more, like how both of her parents are going through phases with dating. Like the dad is proposing to Monica, and she is she's going on to a blind date, and she goes on to a blind date with her with the math teacher. And I liked how you added the math teacher in that. That was really funny.
Do you think we're gonna see, so in the second book where they end up at school, do you think we're gonna see do you think Bee's mom's gonna still be dating the math teacher?
I have a little feeling. I think maybe. I don't know. But when you say it like that, I think maybe not.
We'll have to see. Well, remember what I said, how I like to add tension and drama? So it could be pretty dramatic if they're still dating, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. That's just a clue for the second book.
Yeah, and then maybe the math teacher will be still dating the mom, and maybe with the dad they break up. That would be a lot of drama.
That would be a lot of drama. Okay, I won't give it away if you're right or not, but there definitely is drama involving Bee having to deal with all of these changes with her family, for sure.
How did you come up with the Dandelion Girls, and why was it important that they were rivals of the Sunflower Bunk?
Great question. So first I came up with the Sunflower Bunk Girls because those are the friend group of bees at camp, right? So first I had to think about who that friend group would be and why is Maisie having trouble fitting in. And then I think that was my daughter's idea. My daughter's like, you need to have some kind of bunk competition. And so I thought if we have a bunk competition, there should be a rival bunk, like a rival group of girls. The reason I made that group of girls be so good at the competition is to make the reader nervous that because B is so bad at sports and she ends up in the bunk with B, since Maisie's so bad at sports and she ends up in B's bunk, by having this other bunk who are ready to steal their thunder and win the competition if Maisie messes it up, it added more tension. And it also made it even more important for Maisie to be brave and work really hard to help the girls win the competition. I won't tell you if they win or not. We won't give it away, right? But that's one of the struggles.
Okay, I liked how you made Bailey put Maisie into the other bunk so they could win. So I thought Bailey was the nice one, but she's actually selfish and she wants her Dandelion Bunk girls to win.
That was unexpected, right?
Yeah.
I did that because one of the things that I think it's important that I try to show is that I don't think anybody is all good or all bad, right? Or anybody's perfect or all bad. I think that people have lots of layers to them. So you could have somebody like Bailey who follows all the rules and seems like the perfect counselor. And then we find out that she took this non-sporty girl and put them with the girls who always win so that her bunk has a chance. And it's just to kind of show you that not everybody's perfect, right? People have different layers to them.
I would love if there were a road course. I would love Camp Emilia if I were there. I would love a competition. I would be really, I wouldn't, in real life, I don't think I would be like Maisie. I think I would, in the ropes course, I would probably be really good at it because at school, there's like this big spider web thingy. I don't go on it at the beginning of the school. I went on it a lot, but I don't go on it because it's always so crowded, and I just,
So you would have loved all the practicing that they did.
Yes, and I'm really a good runner. Mom still can't catch me.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, and she took track.
You sound like my daughter Molly. My daughter Molly is like B and all the other girls. She is super sporty. She doesn't get scared of anything. She's an amazing runner. So you sound a lot like my daughter. And you know what? I wish I was like that. That's why I had fun writing this story. It's not fun to be the person who's not very athletic and scared of things. I wish that I was more brave and that I would try new things. And my daughter Molly and my husband Doug are like B and all the other girls at camp. They're very adventurous, they're very sporty, they're good at everything, and they don't get scared. And so that was why it was kind of fun for me to write in both points of view, because I wish I was more like B. And so it was fun for me to imagine what it would be like to be one of those brave, sporty people. Like you. You sound like you would fit in perfect there.
Thank you. What do you hope kids will learn from this book?
Okay, I love that question. Okay, every time you ask a new question, it's my new favorite. So I have an important message for both books. So because it's a 2-book series, I have a message that I start to get across in Camp Click, and that if you haven't quite gotten the message, you will definitely really get the message by the second book. And that message is that true and authentic friendship is more important than being popular. So it's more important to have just one real solid friend or a couple than to try to change yourself to fit in with a bigger group of people just because they're more popular. So that is my number one lesson. And then also, I hope that if there are any kids that maybe would benefit from going to therapy, maybe there's a kid whose mom is encouraging them to go and they're nervous about going. I hope that after they read what Maisie goes through with Dr. Beth, that maybe they would feel like it could be something they could try, and it's okay to talk to a therapist or someone else they trust. I wanted to get across that it's okay to talk about the things we're scared to talk about. So that's another big message. And then the final message really is that people aren't perfect, and sometimes people make mistakes, but if it's a really strong friend, sometimes it's worth it to give someone a second chance. And so I'm hoping that kids will take that away too. What was your favorite part? Can I ask you that?
What was my favorite part in the book?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part in the book was when they were starting to be friends again, like when around where the math teacher started to date her mom. And in a way, I can say I'm sort of like a B, because my parents are also divorced. My dad is I have a stepmother, and my stepmother doesn't have twins, but she has a 13-year-old, actually a 14-year-old That's my stepbrother, and I have a half sister that was born, I think maybe 2018. She's 1 right now, and I can say, and I also have, I'm not an only child. I have Jack, but Mr. Pebbles, I can say sort of like Jack.
Uh, so I like how you related to the blended family part of that, because like you, there's so many kids who have blended families. And so I think it's really nice to read about somebody else's blended family so that you could read that story and you could say, I can see myself a little bit in that, and I can understand that experience. So I'm glad that you shared that. That makes me really happy that I chose to write about that. So thank you for sharing that, Sophie.
I actually have a question. I've had a million questions, but why did you include a tournament? Why did you make there be a tournament?
Oh, that's another good question. Okay, so I'm trying to explain it without giving too much away. I needed, as we know, the girls make a pact. I guess I didn't really explain it from the beginning, but basically when Maisie ends up at camp and nobody likes her, she's desperate to fit in, so she makes a pact with Bee and says, if you help me fit in at camp, I'll help you fit in when we go back to school. And so in the beginning, to fit in, Maisie's trying to do okay at the tournament, right, Sophie? So at first, it's just so she fits in and so that her bunkmates don't hate her and they're not mean to her, because they all want to win the tournament, right? So it raises the stakes. It gives a reason why Maisie has to work a little harder at the things she's scared of. But towards the end of the book, we start to realize that Bee and Maisie aren't just nice to each other because of the pact. We realize that they're starting to become real friends again, right, Sophie? And so I needed to have the tournament in there because Maisie needed a way to prove to Bee that she really was her real friend in real life, and trying to help her win the tournament is Maisie's way to show her and prove herself. That was a great question.
How did you decide the order of the books in the series? Why is Camp Click first and School Squad second?
That's a good question too. Okay, so first of all, the idea came to me that way, where I just thought, what if there's this girl who is like the queen bee at school, and then she goes to camp and nobody likes her? So it just came in my mind that way. So that was one reason. You know how sometimes ideas just sort of come to us and then we say, oh, that's a good one. Okay, I'll have to go with that. It also kind of makes sense to have a fun summer camp read that kids could read all summer, and then at the end of the summer have a back to school read. So I just thought that was fun. Also, I really wanted to write about the summer before middle school and follow it with writing about what happens when the girls go to middle school, because I think there's a big difference between who you are right before middle school starts and who you are when you're actually in middle school.
Why did you make there be a pact? Why did you make there be a pact, and why didn't you make Maisie actually try to be Bee actually try to Bee or Maisie try to be back friends?
Okay, so there's this author, her name is Elizabeth Gilbert. She writes nonfiction and fiction, and she wrote this great book called Big Magic. All about being an artist, being a creative person. And I know how creative and artistic you are, so you will totally get this. Elizabeth Gilbert has a theory. She has a theory that ideas are almost like living things that float around us, and that an idea will come to us. And if we're the right person who's meant to tell that story or paint that picture, we will accept that idea. And if we're not the right person for it, we'll let it go, and then somebody else will jump on that idea. And so and so I read this book, And the way she described these ideas that sort of come to you, that is exactly what happened. I was in a car, my husband was driving, my daughter was in the car, and all of a sudden it was like magic. This idea came to me about the girl not fitting in at camp, and the title of the series, The Popularity Pact, it all just hit me. And I sat straight up in the car, and I said, I have an idea for a book. And my husband and daughter were like, well, what's the idea? And I said, there's this girl, and she's the queen bee at school, and she doesn't fit in at camp, and she makes a pact with her ex-best friend to make her fit in. And I don't know why, the idea just came to me, and I embraced the whole idea at once and just went with it. So that's why I can't even explain it. I do think the idea came to me because, like I said, I had noticed kids not fitting in to certain places. So I think that's why I was the right person for that magical idea to come to at that time. So that's why.
And why did you make it? I can see how the Dandelion Girls and the M&Ms are sort of alike, but why did you think it was important to add the M&Ms into the story?
Oh, I love that question. Okay, so in Camp Click, what do you think about the Sunflower Bunk Girls? Do you think that they are positive? Do you think they're good friends? Like, what are your thoughts about them as friends?
Well, I think when you really get to know them, they're actually pretty good friends. And I think when it comes to the tournament, they're actually sort of positive.
Good. So that is what I was hoping you would say. So the Sunflower Bunk Girls are a great example of authentic, true friends. They did a great job supporting each other, cheering for each other, working towards the same thing. When B makes a big mistake, we won't say what it is. When B makes a mistake, they hear her out, they listen to her, and they give her another chance. Do you think the M&Ms are the same? Do you think they're positive friends or negative friends?
I think they're mostly negative. I don't think they're like the other girls who tell secrets and they keep them. I think I liked how it was Mia. I liked how it was like Mia or another one with the M's, so many M's. I liked how they. I mean, they didn't exactly like. Sometimes they shared secrets and they didn't keep them just to themselves, and I think they were negative about all these things. Madison, I think, was the one who really was nice. Megan was the one. Megan was the one who you said that if she finds out the crush, then your crush, then she tells. I think the other girls, I know, remember how you did lists at the end of the book on like how the Sunflower Girls know everything about each other. I liked how you did that.
I love that you noticed that. Yeah, because the Sunflower Girls are the kind of girls that you can tell everything to, and the M&Ms are the people that you keep secrets from, right? So in School Squad, the M&Ms are that example of people who are not authentic friends. And spoiler alert, as you can tell from the picture, B changes a lot about who she is to fit in with the M&Ms. Do you see the difference?
Yes, I see. And I also see how Maisie and B are both wearing a little bit of red, and B's freckles are all gone, and it looks like she's actually smiling about fitting in. It looks like she fits in more now.
I love all the stuff you picked up from the title. You're right about all of those things. And so we're going to see the difference between the kind of friends the Sunflower Bunk Girls are and the kind of friends the M&Ms are. So I love that you asked about that because there is quite a difference between both.
And why did you I know you said you like drama, but why did you exactly make the math teacher date them, and why did you make the dad, like why did you make B's parents like meet people and
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so if you remember, Bee's parents have been divorced since she was going into 2nd grade, and she's now going into 7th grade. And so I thought it would make sense that they would both be blending new families at some point. And I wanted to explore what it would be like for her to try to, in the second book, to try to fit in with a new group of friends at the same time that she's trying to fit in with her dad's blended family. I thought that that would be interesting to see how she changes. She thinks that she has to change who she is to fit in with both. And so that's where I came up with that. As far as the mom dating, I thought that that would just, like I said, I like to make things have more drama. I thought that if she was also dealing with that new situation at the same time, that it would just add more things for her to be dealing with at once, because we'll see in the second book, I don't want to give it away, but Bee does not always make the right choices. I don't want to say what they are, but Bee is trying so hard to fit in so many places at once that she doesn't always go about fitting in the right way. And so all of those situations together kind of put her in situations where she doesn't always do choices that serve her well. And that's what we'll see in the second book.
Well, thank you, Eileen. I've had a lot of fun getting to I've had a lot of fun getting to know you and learn about Camp Click.
I really enjoyed this interview, Sophie. You asked such great questions, and you did such a good job having a really fun discussion about the book, which without giving away too many things, right? Because we want kids to be surprised when they're reading. So you did such a great job asking questions and having a fun conversation without giving away the secrets of the book. If you're interested in joining the book club, Sophie will let you know about that.
If you're interested in joining the book club, stay tuned for details and make sure to get your copy of Camp Click to join in the fun this summer.